Krishna Caitanya Prabhupada Jayapataka Swami Maharaj.
The following is a lecture given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami on June 5th, 1983 in Atlanta, Georgia. The class begins with a reading from the Sri Caitanya Caritāmrita, the Adi-lila, chapter 9, verse 42.
Translation. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. Purport. There are two kinds of general activities. Sreya, or activities which are ultimately beneficial and auspicious. This is called Sreya. The other kind of general activity, Preya, are those which are immediately beneficial and auspicious. For example, children are very fond of playing. They don't want to go to school to receive an education. And they think that to play all day and night, enjoy with their friends, is the aim of life. Even in the transcendental life of Lord Krishna, we find that when he was a child, he was very fond of playing with his friends of the same age, the cowherd boys. He would not even go home to take his dinner. Mother Yasoda would have to come out to induce him to come home. Thus it is the child's nature to engage all day and night in playing, not caring even for his health and other important concerns. This is an example of preya, or immediately beneficial activities. But there are also sreyas, or activities which are ultimately auspicious. According to Vedic civilization, a human being must be God-conscious. He should understand what God is, what this material world is, who he is, and what their interrelationships are. This is called Sreya, or ultimately auspicious activities. In this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that one should be interested in Sreya. To achieve the ultimate goal of Sreyas, or good fortune, one should engage everything, including his life, wealth, and words, not only for himself, but for others also. However, unless one is interested in Sreyas in his own life, he cannot preach of Sreyas for the benefit of others. This verse cited by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu applies to human beings, not to animals. As indicated in the previous verse by the words Manushya Janma, these injunctions are for human beings. Unfortunately, human beings, although they have the bodies of men, are becoming less than animals in their behavior. This is the fault of modern education. Modern educators do not know the aim of human life. They are simply concerned with how to develop the economic condition of their country or of human society. This is also necessary. The Vedic civilization considers all aspects of human life, including dharma, religion, artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation. But humanity's first concern should be religion. To be religious, one must abide by the orders of God. But unfortunately, people in this age have rejected religion, and they are busy in economic development. Therefore, they will adopt any means to get money. For economic development, one does not need to get money by hook or by crook. One needs only sufficient money to maintain his body and soul. However, because modern economic development is going on with no religious background, people have become lusty, greedy, and mad after money. They are simply developing the qualities of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance, neglecting the other quality of nature, sattva, goodness, and the Brahminical qualifications, Therefore, the entire society is in chaos. The Bhagavatam says that it is the duty of an advanced human being to act in such a way as to facilitate human society's attainment of the ultimate goal of life. There is a similar verse in the Vishnu Purana, Part 3, Chapter 12, Verse 45, which is quoted in this chapter of Caitanya Caritāmrita as verse 43, which is the next verse. Thus end the translation and the purport of the text 42 of the Caitanya Caritāmrita in the Adi-lila, which is the verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 22nd chapter, verse 35, which has been quoted here by Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The translation: it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. So, this is something which is not too difficult to understand, that a human being should live for others, for the benefit of others. Of course, first one has to take care of one's own interests. At least be concerned about one's own interests, and then one can consider others' interests. The problem is that nobody knows what is in their good interest in the modern world. That is the big problem. So many examples of how people, in the name of doing good to others, actually create havoc, because they don't know exactly what will be the result, whether it's on a temporary basis, some rather isolated basis, just like bringing foxes to they brought to Australia to get rid of the rabbits, and then there's nothing to get rid of the foxes. Somebody was trying to help them out. In India, there's a water hyacinth plant which completely clogs all of the riverways, all of the waterways, all of the lakes, ponds. And that was brought because some English lady wanted to decorate India and didn't realize that there's no one to eat water hyacinth, so the thing is just everywhere. Clogs everything up, stagnates the water. So it can be, those are just like more or less frivolous or little examples. So, to the ultimate goal of life, people are not, at least people are considered an immediate, they have an immediate problem, they want an immediate solution. But what will be the ultimate result of that, they don't know. Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto describes that their problems all require solutions, but the solutions that they find for their problems are another problem. Just like there was the problem of transportation. So now, in this problem of transportation, we've developed the automobile, which is another problem. Right? Then you have to have roads, you have to have laws, and then you have to have enforcement branch, and so on and so forth. All trying to maintain, to solve your original problem, you've just created another problem which has created another 50 problems. So at breakneck speeds, one has to race just to go from one place to the next. To see your friend, you have to drive 30 miles. In other words, life has become so complicated, and people lose track of what is the actual basic standard of life. That these are not necessary to actually be happy. But we've created artificial standards, and to maintain that, that's a big problem. So all these things are prayers to just give us some immediate happiness. Just like you tell people, on the plane I was flying over, say happy holidays or something. He said, yeah, I'm going to try to have a real good time. Within this short holiday, because I was flying from India to Frankfurt to here, so from Frankfurt all of the boys, all of the army boys and force officers, everybody, they were all flying over for the holiday. So in this, they have to report back in January 6th or something. So in this short time, they want to squeeze in as much prayer, immediate happiness that they can. This is the standard around the world for most of the people. If the only shreyas is just like little long term is maybe take some education. Now many adults are going back to school to get some more education so they can get another future better position in society for economic development. This morning, while we were doing something, I saw an old paper. There was an ad there for people retiring. So that, and what do people have to look forward to? Their retirement, and go to some old folks' home, and the ultimate, what are people living for, is very dubious in many people's minds. Those who are a little bit pious, they feel, well, we'll go to heaven. But who is God? Who are they? What is heaven? In real scientific or in more definitive terms, what does it all mean? What is life? To ignore that basic question and just to go on blindly through one's life is basically the greatest foolishness that one could do. The whole purpose of a human intelligence is not simply to be able to invent so many machines to solve our problems and then create another problem to maintain those machines. That's all subsidiary purposes. That's simply to facilitate going where we have to go. But where are we going? That nobody knows. That's the amazing thing in the Western world. That from the great scientists to the philosophers to the leaders, that where society should go, what is the actual destination where there can be peace and harmony, or where people can be satisfied and happy. They'll know that there's so many difficulties in society, there's so many deficiencies. But what the destination is, what is the standard, what is the goal, is there a standard? That nobody can say definitively. They all have different ideas, plans, like Marxism and capitalism and so on. But all these man-made schemes are all deficient. So the actual plan, the real shreyas, or the real permanent benefit is given in the Vedic literature. That first thing is the purpose is that we should know who Krishna is. We should know who the Supreme Godhead is. We should know everything about Him that we are capable of knowing. Not that we can know everything because He's unlimited, but there are many things that we can know. And we should know. And we should know about ourselves. Who are we? How have we come in the world? What is there life after death? What is a life? What is this material world? How does it relate with ourselves, with the God? All these things are very scientifically and systematically described in the Vedic literature. So Prabhupada's books, they're actually giving this knowledge to people. Unfortunately, people are so absorbed in the external form that if you're a little bit different than what they're accustomed to, they tend to reject or tend to doubt without giving it a fair hearing. So by some means or another, we have to allow people to be exposed to our literature and be exposed to our philosophy, so they might start to understand that there's actually something that they should be analyzing in their life more than their immediate economic program. In the Vedic culture, the whole system of varnashram is given to divide the animals from the humans. So before varnashram is practiced, that basically human society is a type of polished animal society. Varnashram means that there's a basic direction of becoming self-realized, of being following the laws of God, and that things are organized in such a way that people in their retired life, they're able to concentrate on God consciousness, and their active life, their various programs. That whole system was given by Krishna just to bring the people to the platform of human life. But people are very far away from Varnashram culture. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's actually giving the essence. I mean, the whole purpose even of Varnashram Dharma is to bring one to the point of God consciousness. To being conscious of God and one's own spiritual nature. Be conscious of the material, the interrelationship. This is the actual purpose. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by giving this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Maha Mantra, this awakens the dormant spiritual capacity to understand these things. Prabhupada once retorted when somebody said, "You're brainwashing the people." He said, "What brain they have to us? To give them a brain, then we have something." You see, there's nothing, they have no brain even to understand spiritual life. People don't have they're so much embedded in body consciousness. They identify themselves so much simply by the material tabernacle that they're temporarily residing in, that they have no idea whatsoever that there's anything beyond that. Which is such a hopeless, frustrating situation, because at every moment this body is disintegrating, and there's no doubt that one time the thing is simply going to fall off. So it's a very hopeless and frustrating situation, which you can block out ignorance as bliss for some time, but doesn't actually solve the problem. The people, they're very hopelessly absorbed in this type of bodily existence, and that there's something beyond it. They don't have the intelligence to perceive that or to understand that. Even if you tell them about the existence of a soul in real spiritual terms, see, even the more religious people, they say, "I have a soul." They're still identifying I as in the body, I have a soul. It's like a car saying, "I have a driver." Right? If cars could speak. Now they have computers that can speak. I have a user. Right? But if the user doesn't turn on the switch, the computer is nothing, isn't it? So here, I have a soul. It's not the soul, it's the actual person. The body is simply the vehicle. But this, to get them even to that level, without chanting Hare Krishna or taking a little Krishna cookie or prasadam, without having some association with devotees, without just getting some little bit of spiritual vibration or spiritual understanding, just a little bit of a spiritual sukriti, they have no scope for even slightly conceiving what's going on. So by all of your preaching Krishna consciousness and giving people, engaging them in the process of Krishna consciousness, you are doing the greatest welfare work. This is the ultimate Shreya. Because even by a little bit of advancement in spiritual life, they can eventually conquer over all these difficulties. They can conquer over death, what to speak of anything else. And once they understand who they are, how they're interrelated with the material world, with God, with each other, in factual spiritual terms, then they achieve the supreme happiness. They achieve the supreme peace, which everybody's hankering for. But they don't have any idea how to get it. They all have ideas how to get it, but they don't get it, those ideas. They don't know how to achieve prayas, the ultimate benefit. They're just after prayas, the immediate sense gratification, the immediate results. So you're doing the greatest welfare work by giving this Krishna consciousness to others, and if we persevere, gradually people will start to be more and more fortunate simply by your association and by your engaging them. And eventually, if they have the slightest desire, they'll be able to understand. Everyone has the capacity to understand, whether young or old, whether educated or uneducated, whether man or woman. Everyone has the capacity to understand, but they're covered. That capacity is covered by different degrees of material ignorance and passion. So that fire that's burning in their heart has to be a little bit cooled down, and good intelligence has to be transplanted, or rather uncovered, by the cleansing process of Krishna consciousness. Actually then real intelligence is revealed, then they can understand what is happening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.